China has fired back at America's tariff attack. They've now put a 34% tariff on all goods coming from the United States. This hits hard at things like soybeans, sorghum, and pork, which are key products from America's farming states. The damage is huge. In 2024, the US sent about $15 billion worth of farm goods to China. Soybeans made up over 60% of that total. Now, those numbers could drop fast as China builds a bigger tariff wall. But Trump isn't stepping back, not even a little. He's raised tariffs on Chinese goods to 50%. That makes the total tariff rate 104%, the highest ever between the US and China. Still, China's leaders are leaving a small chance for talks. They've hinted at wanting a new trade deal, maybe like ones from Trump's first term. However, America's demands aren't moving, and the two sides are stuck. This 104% tariff has pushed the US and China into a risky economic fight. Over $700 billion disappeared from the markets in just one day. China is also tightening its grip on rare metals. Is this the breaking point for US-China ties? The US started this. Early in the year, Trump began with bold steps. A 10% tariff in February, another 10% in March, then a jump to 34% last week. Now he's threatening to add 50% more. That could mean a $20 toy becomes $40, a $400 iPhone turns into $800, or a car's price jumps by $6,000 to $12,000. Trump says this punishes China, but with China hitting back, is this a win for America or a spark for global trouble? China didn't stay quiet. They slapped a 34% tariff on all US goods. But the real blow is in supplies. China is limiting exports of rare earth metals, which are vital for tech like electric car batteries, military radars, and semiconductors. They control up to 90% of the world's supply of elements like dysprosium, terbium, and neodymium. Starting this month, US companies need a license to get these. And approval isn't simple. Experts call it a hidden export ban. The effects are big. Right after Trump's tariff threat, Asian markets crashed. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index fell over 13%, its worst drop in almost 30 years. Shanghai's market lost over 7%, erasing $500 billion. The US felt it too, with Wall Street dropping 10 to 15% in days. Investors ran to gold and treasuries. One expert said this is like shock therapy that might hurt more than it helps. The two biggest economies are now in a standoff. Who will give in first? This isn't a normal fight. The whole world's economy is watching and shaking. When the US and China pile on tariffs this high, it's almost like a trade block. What's the real goal here? Does Trump want more money for the US to bring companies back home, or just to look strong in talks? China says these tariffs break global trade rules and threaten the world economy. Both sides stand firm, and the divide between them grows deeper. Don't look away. If one speech can wipe out $10 trillion, what did Trump say? Markets were already shaky when he took office. At a press conference, he said there are no plans to pause the tariffs. The world took it as a threat. In 1 week, over $10 trillion in market value vanished. Experts called it a tsunami that crushed investor trust overnight. It wasn't a law or disaster that caused this. It was one sentence. Then Trump added fuel to the fire. He said tariffs could stay forever. But he also said, we need open borders, which clashes with his tough immigration stance. Two opposite ideas in one speech left everyone confused. Even his own team didn't know what to say. Next, he shocked the world by talking about the Middle East. He said the US would take over Gaza and move Palestinians to other countries. People compared it to past forced migrations that caused big problems. This hurt America's image worldwide. On the economy, Trump kept saying groceries. He claimed food prices, interest rates, and energy costs are dropping. We have groceries, meaning food is down. Everything is down at levels nobody thought possible. Egg prices dropped 79%. But the truth? Living costs in America are still high for many. Why focus on groceries? It's a tactic. Groceries are something people feel every day, a symbol to connect with them, even if the numbers don't match. Trump also said America can't sell cars to Europe. That's not true. Tesla, Ford, and GM send thousands of cars there yearly. But his tariff plans are hurting the US auto industry anyway. Factories are cutting back, and workers are losing jobs. The fair tariffs he promised are hitting the people he said he'd help, American workers. The European Union then announced a 25% tariff on US goods in response. Companies like Apple are moving production to places like India. If iPhones were fully made in the US, they could cost $30,000 each. Made in USA sounds good, but it hits consumers hard. China is taking advantage. As the US pulls back, China is building trade ties with Europe and other nations. This could create a new world trade system where America isn't the leader. Don't look away because this is just the start. Comedian Wanda Sykes often pokes fun at Trump. Her jokes entertain but also point to bigger issues. She questions if he's mature enough to lead. Everyone's waiting for him to act presidential, she says. They think he'll learn to control his emotions. But he's 70. You teach kids that, not a 70-year-old. If he's a jerk, he'll stay a jerk. It's not just a personal jab. It's about a system that lets unfit leaders hold power. Sykes also mocks Trump's arrogance. I'm so not a Trump fan. He annoys me. His whole family annoys me. She tells a story. A friend saw Tiffany Trump at the movies with Secret Service. That annoys me. Why does she need protection? Nobody knows who she is. She calls Trump a fake billionaire who brags about success but lost family money. It shows America's obsession with rich people fixing things, even when they fail. After Trump won in 2016, Sykes said her kids were sad. My daughter was worried. A friend at school said people with skin like mine might have to leave. Trump's look gets hit too. She jokes his hair is like an art project and says, stand too close and you might get sunburned. It's about trust. A leader who seems fake risks losing people. She also teases Melania for looking distant. She smiles so little, it's like an SOS signal. It makes leadership feel cold and far away. Sykes even jokes about Trump getting plastic surgery. Maybe he's changing his face, but that hair will give him away. It's funny, but points to society's focus on looks in leaders. Too much change and trust breaks. She questions why Tiffany Trump gets Secret Service. Who is she? Why does she need it? It's about fairness. Why do some get protection while others feel unsafe? Other countries are fighting back too. In March 2025, the US put tariffs on Germany, Canada, and Mexico. Germany got mad. Canada called it an attack. The world is looking for ways to avoid the US. On March 4th, Trump added a 25% tariff on imported cars and parts to protect US jobs, but car prices might rise 10 to 15%. Markets reacted fast. Germany's leader Olaf Scholz said, "This is wrong. It makes losers, not winners." With 30% of its cars going to the US, Germany worries the supply chain could break. They warned jobs could disappear. Canada faced a 25% tariff on most goods in February 2025. Trump suggested Canada join the US as the 51st state to avoid it. Canada's leaders called it an attack on their freedom. They fought back by boycotting US goods and pushing their own identity. The EU sided with Canada, naming it a key partner for a big 2025 trade fair. Mexico stayed quiet after a 25% tariff but promised to hit back when ready. With $800 billion in trade at stake, they're picking their moment. If you keep saying America is number one while others walk away, who's really listening? A journalist found Trump's tariff formula is odd. They take the US trade deficit with a country, divide it by imports from that country, and set the tariff rate. For China, a $295.4 billion deficit divided by $438.9 billion in imports equals a 67.3% tariff. But it doesn't match what China actually charges. It's like a random game. Experts call it sloppy. It punishes countries based on deficits, not their real tariffs. Trump said Vietnam charges 90%, so he charged 46%. Cambodia gets 49% from 97%. But those countries don't even have high tariffs. Some nations with trade surpluses still get hit with a 10%. It's unfair and messy. Businesses struggle, prices rise, and the stock market dives. People face higher costs and don't know why. China also stopped buying US LNG worth $2.4 billion a year in March 2025 after a 10% US tariff. They picked Australia instead, signing a $1.5 billion deal for cheaper gas. Europe took China's LNG too, leaving the US out. America lost market share and power in energy. Australia stepped up as China's new partner. The US LNG industry is stuck with unsold stock and canceled deals. At a wild press conference, Trump's spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, stumbled. Asked why Trump told automakers not to raise prices, she dodged, "I'm not sure if he said that." On a military leak, she said, "The case is closed," with no details. People want answers, but got silence. Asked about retirees hurt by market swings, she repeated old lines with no plan. GDP is shrinking by 3.8%, not growing like promised. On car prices, Leavitt claimed tariffs save money and lower inflation, but tariffs raise costs. Even Fox News told her to explain better. Then, a Maryland father, legally safe from deportation, was sent to El Salvador and jailed. Leavitt blamed a judge, then linked it to gang crimes, but the facts didn't match. Trust is fading fast. Don't blink, or you'll miss what's next.